I'm Tom Lerner. I'm head of the science department at the Getty Conservation Institute. One of the things that we've become very interested in fact the field becomes very interested in, is the whole question of how artworks are made. The main reason for our interest in this from a conservation point of view is fairly simple actually, that to be able to restore or conserve a work of art, you need to know what it's made out of, as well as what you're trying to get back to in a sense, or as close as you can possibly get back to how it would have looked originally. The approach we're taking with this painting is a fairly standard one where we're removing, I say we, Chris is removing the dirt layer that's clearly not part of the original composition. We're then assessing the condition of the painting as it is now in 2018 compared to when it was created in the late 40s. One of the factors that's really interested us throughout our research into the conservation issues of modern paintings is the paint itself. And in the 20th century there was this huge explosion in terms of numbers of paint types available to artists. Artists like Pollock, he was by no means the only artist, but he was one of the better known artists, also turned to paints not intended for artists. So there's an enormous range of different paint types. The reason that's important for a conservation viewpoint is simply that different paint types behave differently. An enormous amount of work's needed to build up a knowledge of what these paints are. Many paint manufacturers are quite secretive about their formulations, so it's actually quite hard to understand the things we're looking for in the first place. We then have to develop techniques to scientifically analyze fragments of paint so we can identify the different binders, for example, or pigments. One paint that is of immediate interest to us is the pink. It wasn't immediately obvious when we first looked at the painting, but in fact when the frame was removed from the edges of the painting, it was very clear that there is this pink color around the edges which is very bright compared to what it looks like on the surface. It's a very, very common issue where certain pigments with light exposure fade. In theory, it would be possible to compensate for the pink. Every single crack or missing piece of paint could be filled, compensated for, so you wouldn't see them. It's possible even to undertake a certain amount of bleaching in the exposed canvas. So these are all technically possible, but this is where the sort of more established ethics aspects come into conservation, where the value of age is a very important value. The aim is not to get this painting back to how it looked the day it was completed. There'll be cracks in the paint, there'll be areas of the canvas that's discolored slightly, there'll be this pink that's faded, and these are all things that are just part of the age of the piece.